You're listening to Salford City Radio 94.4 FM with your host Jimmy Petruzzi on the Friday Sports Show. And today we have a fantastic guest. He's a regular on the show. He's appeared a few times. He's been kind enough to give us some of his input, his take on keeping fit, and he's a great professional. He's a fitness coach. He's worked in sport. He's worked with many athletes. He also works with people across a broad range of areas. Anything from just getting fit for the summertime, or just getting fit in general, or perhaps people, other things they're aiming for, like weight reduction. But he's also a mind coach too, so it's quite unique in what he does. He combines both elements. And you know, we all know what's been going on the last few weeks. It's been very challenging for everybody, really. There's a lot of difficulties, and things are changing all the time. So please bear in mind, this is a pre-record, and some of the things that we discuss may change because they're changing on a day-to-day basis. And at the moment, we are on lockdown, and we'll find out more about how our next guest has sort of made a transition to being on lockdown and the circumstances. He's passionate about fitness, and I had the privilege to work with our next guest as well in football too, and on other projects too. So, Paul Oldham, welcome to the show. Great to have you on board.
Thank you for having me, Jimmy. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's great to have you on board, Paul. It's obviously, a difficult time for a lot of people, and it's very kind of you to come on board. You know, I've noticed on the Instagram, you've been really flat out making that transition from where we were a few weeks ago to all these changes pretty much every day, to the point now we're on lockdown. And how have you found making the transition, Paul, yourself, to the point we are now on lockdown as we speak today?
Yeah, I mean, it's not been easy for anyone, really. We prepared for it, so when we got wind of what was going to happen, we prepared for it 10 days before. We created a new product, Lockdown Lifestyle, for our members. We've got them all on Zoom, working online now instead. I think most of it, you just got to accept it. You have to accept it's a different reality. However long it's going to be, is it going to be 12 weeks, 4 months, whatever? So you have to accept it and then move forward. So yeah, even though it's been challenging, I've kind of enjoyed the challenge as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you've always struck me as that sort of person, Paul, that has always been forward-thinking, and I think that the mindset, and we'll talk about that today in more detail. And in terms of training, I know we spoke off air before, a lot of people are sort of jumping on it, the online stuff, but it strikes me that the way you do is really carefully measured, and obviously, you said you've been working hard to do that. What's it take for a fitness trainer, Paul, to sort of make that transition online? What are the things you've got to take in consideration before you move things online, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you've got to think of health and safety first and foremost. So your workouts have got to be safe and effective. That's the reason why we're using Zoom, because we can see everybody on our screen. Mm-hmm. We can see the technique, we can go through all the correct protocols and that type of thing. So yeah, you need to do things like update your insurance, that type of thing as well, and just basically check everyone that they're okay. I mean, we've just transferred our membership, that what people normally pay, straight onto the new product, which is Lockdown Lifestyle on Zoom. Mm. You have to speak to all your members individual, send your emails out, that type of thing, and just make it clear what the new product is, what new service is, and make sure every exercise that you give is safe and effective first and foremost.
Absolutely, and that's a challenge as well. But obviously people sort of, from the outside can join in to a point, but it's really important that if they do join in, no doubt they sort of are aware of their own sort of fitness or any conditions that they might have, and so on and so forth. Obviously, it's difficult to legislate for anyone from the outside to do and join in. But in terms of your own members, Paul, how has the impact been on them to sort of make the transition? I mean, from a mind point of view, how challenging has it been for them sort of mentally to sort of, I mean, you guys have a great vibe at the gym and all that sort of stuff, and how difficult has it been for them to say, to do the programs you were doing, like the walks in the countryside and all the other stuff that you were doing, to now go online?
I think it depends on the individual. So we have got a very, very good group. So we've got over 100 members now, and a lot of them very forward-thinking themselves. They've all got great careers. They're very switched on with the mind. Mm. So what we've done, we've offered an individual service for them as well, just extra work that we're doing, going the extra mile. So a lot of them just cracks on like normal. a couple of people struggle with technology and stuff. Anybody who's actually struggled mentally, I've spoke to them on the phone or I've spoke to them one-to-one, and so have my coaching team as well. So we've made the option available. If they need more support, because like you said, you're not getting outdoor as much. You're not doing your Hulk and Hill walks. You're not going to do body camps at Body Influence like normal. Anybody who's need extra support, we spoke to them one-to-one. But on the whole, it's been very positive, to be honest with you. And everyone's been very adaptable and flexible with the behaviour.
Yeah, no, and that's sort of a great thing, and it sort of strikes me, Paul, that you sort of transferred what you're doing practical, like in a classroom, pretty much online. I know you got the yoga classes going as well. I know you had one last night. You sort of sent an invite through, and unfortunately I couldn't tune in because I was sort of busy with a project myself. But is that what you've managed to do, Paul? Like transfer some of the stuff that you're doing as a classroom across online, or how's that sort of worked?
Yeah, I mean, we did the first yoga one last night with Danielle. It was excellent. That was Facebook Live. And then on Monday at 8 o'clock, we're going to do a Zoom one. So then Danielle can really look at technique as well. We're doing like everything else really. The normal body camps, we're just doing body weight. So high intensity interval training. So squats, burpees, that type of thing. The body strength membership we've kept that. We've actually let a lot of members use our equipment. So 10 days ago, before we went on to full lockdown and that type of thing, we let our members come in and borrow equipment rent-free, just to help them out. A lot of the members have got equipment on their own as well, so that's just for the strength program, that. But even there, we're doing press-ups and bodyweight exercises like wall sits and that type of thing as well. We're also providing entertainment, so we're going to do some live singing in the group. We've got a guitarist coming into our group to keep people entertained. We're doing quizzes and that type of thing. So we want to keep people entertained as well, because we understand that they can't go out to the pub and nightclubs. So
yeah, no, that's really interesting stuff, Bill, because you guys are more than a gym for me. You're also social as well, and I think that's a big element. That sort of tribe, find your tribe type mentality where you get around people who want the best for you and you want the best for them, and you guys have mastered that. And the walks around the area, some beautiful countryside in the area. I guess it's a bit of a shame at the moment with obviously the light nights and the beautiful weather and all that sort of stuff. That's obviously as we speak, the lockdown has sort of had an impact on that. But like he says, from the social point of view, how important do you think it is to sort of carry on from a social point of view? Because it's going to be pretty unsettling, and I suppose demoralising is a strong word, but when you're sort of used to sort of socialising and you're not sure when this is going to come to an end, and not just that, obviously, I'm fully aware the precautions are really important. And NHS staff are doing a great job. We've got to make sure that the curve is flattened, so to speak. But how important is it to be and have that social element, Paul?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the two words that I'll use are, the first one's community and the second one is connection. So we're doing a live update in our members group every day apart from Sunday, 11:30 a.m. And what we're doing, we're getting loads of banter going, we're getting everyone talking about the feelings and that type of thing. Needs extra support mental health wise, they can do. But yeah, the connection now and the social element is even more important because people have got a lot more time on the hand. Some people are coming to a crossroads, so they're getting a little bit lost with the job and the family life. They're losing that direction. So Body Influence, what we do for them is provide that direction, give them that third element, away from things, away from the job and away from the family. Help them with the hobbies, help them with the goals, and have loads of fun as well to keep them positive.
Absolutely. No, and I think, does that tie into your new project, Paul, like the mind coaching stuff? I mean, I know in mind coaching it's really important to get the balance in life and recharge the batteries, and is that something that you've adapted to your new venture as well, in terms of the stuff that you're doing, not just the social stuff, but also the speaking to them one-to-one and that sort of stuff? And I'm not sort of suggesting and that obviously your replacement, if someone needs clinical help, then obviously they sort of go and see the appropriate person, be a GP or whatever. But I'm just sort of talking more motivation here in terms of, okay, well, I feel a bit down today, it's a bit of a struggle, and is that something you sort of, for example, have managed to incorporate with people, Paul?
Yeah, 100%. So I set Mind Influence up 2 weeks ago officially. And it's funny the timing that it's happened, isn't it? So a lot of people really need that service at the moment. So I'm getting a lot more work and helping people a lot more through that one-to-one. And yeah, we've got a counsellor on board, Jen, who's superb. And she's got a lot of contacts herself, like GPs and things like that.
Oh,
so anything where it's extreme, like you touched on, we then send to Jen and go down that route. And anybody who needs a bit of positivity, mindset work, mind training, they come to me. We do a lot of techniques that you taught me as well, Jimmy, with them. So I teach them about journaling, brain dumpstering, teach them about the gratitude lists, about the 5-minute journals in the morning rituals, just little strategies that they can work on over this next period now to move forward and try and help them be flexible with the thinking and the thoughts.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I think that's really good that you've got someone on board that's got that sort of contact as well. And I think it's really important because some things, obviously, are sort of from a coaching point of view, but also that fine line between sort of coaching and sort of sometimes people fall into that sort of clinical area where they might need to get help of a clinician, and these times, no doubt, are going to have a big impact on people. But I guess you guys have sort of covered the social bases that are really important. We talk a lot about psychosocial strategies for people, and certainly from a social point of view, you guys are doing a great job to lift people's spirits, and it sort of means a lot. And in terms of community, Paul, it's like, is that if you guys have created like a community, and how have you managed to sort of create that community feel at your gym? I mean, what's been the ingredients to create that sort of community?
Yeah, I think the first thing was getting the right people in. So we had to do the right marketing to get like-minded people together, and protecting the environment, really. So we've only let a certain type of person come into the environment, really, which goes into our client avatar, the people we wanted to attract. We attract people who are close to the family. We attract people with good careers, a good vision, intelligent people who like to have loads of banter and fun. And then once you've got that, it takes a while. It took us around about 12 months to get that. And once we've got that, then it's about all the members stepping up and supporting each other. We'll have some members who lead the other members a lot more than others. And like you touched on, it's all about that tribe. So now we've got it, after about 12 months of building it, it's really flowing now. But yeah, I mean, it's not easy, but you have to know what type of person you want to attract to be part of your community to let it flow.
Yeah, I mean the vision, and I think for me, certainly your staff, Paul, they're sort of the ones I've met anyway, top class, and they sort of buy into the vision. And is that something you sort of deliberately went out to get the right staff? I mean, has that been a big thing for you to get the right people on board as part of your team? Yeah,
we're very lucky with the people we've got. They're all emotionally intelligent. They're all switched on people. They're all very, very passionate. So they're passionate about helping people over money, which is the first thing that I look for when I spoke to them all. And they all have their own individual qualities and skills they bring to the table. James, our head coach, is doing a great job at the moment, and his true colours have come out, and he's galvanised everyone and improved his leadership as well. So yeah, all of them have been superb, but yeah, you have to know what type of coach you're looking for. So I made a list, and then I identified their qualities, and they all bring something unique to the table.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Paul, it really is. And one thing I was going to sort of run by you, and the listeners might be interested in as well, although I'm sure they'll be really interested in, is I've sort of spoken to a number of professional athletes recently, and footballers too, and one thing that sort of strikes me is different people handle it in a different way. I mean, the elite athletes, they're generally very focused, and they sort of manage to get, moving on with things, but they also do, underneath it all, some of them do and are unsettled, and sometimes they can struggle to carry on with the training program, because obviously, with the athletes, they build towards the Olympics, they build towards a tournament, they build towards the week-to-week fixtures. And in your experience of working with your athletes, Paul, what have they presented you with at the moment in terms of the situation? What's it been like working with the athletes that you've worked with at the moment under the current climate?
Yeah, so what we've done really is focus on the medium and long-term goals, because at the moment the short-term goals are out the window. So we've given some strategies to work on for the medium and long-term goals. We've done a lot of visualisation with them, so they can work on these things over the next 2 to 3 years. Or if some have a 10-year vision, that's absolutely fine, depending on the type of person. But yeah, it's being flexible with the goal setting now and changing these daily habits. I mean, because we're on lockdown now for, I think it's like 5-6 days. We're up to right now in this moment. We spoke to everyone about your habits, your thinking and your thought habits, and your behaviour habits and your action. So we said, if you get in the right routine straight away and the right structure to your day, you will do well. Because we might be in this for 5-6 months, we don't know yet. If they start bad, then it's going to be very difficult then to turn that around. So yeah, we spoke about daily habits, routine, structure, and about medium and long-term goals.
Yeah, and absolutely, and that's important. That's something to focus on, I think, especially in these times. And we will eventually get through, I'm sure of it. We've got to keep focused and keep going and do the best we can. And I think the other night, Paul, I don't know if it sort of reached you guys, but just things like people standing outside and clapping for the NHS is a huge thing, and it shows how much sort of support can go a long way. It's a big thing. And do you have any like frontline staff that work that train at your gym, Paul? Do you have anyone that sort of has been in the front line in all these situations that comes to the gym?
Yeah, it's actually interesting. Like we spoke about how you attract your crowd, and we've got 7 as it stands at the moment.
Wow,
who are playing a pivotal role. So we're supporting them just like they're supporting us, really. And again, it's about giving that extra hand as well. So I've spoken to them privately as well, and a lot of our members are obviously supportive. And that the other day, the NHS, that the clapping at 8 PM was unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah,
I think it touched myself and a lot of people. That
absolutely.
Working with people close up is it's quite a surreal situation, but yeah, we're just trying to support them as much as they're supporting us.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting you say. And for me, Paul, I mean, like yourself, I've sort of, I have a few different roles, and some of my roles involve, a close proximity in terms of people who are on the front line, and sort of do keep in touch. And like yourself, you mentioned you could sort of sense it a few weeks ago. I was the same, and in one sense, I felt like I wouldn't say down, but a bit sombre at what I thought could happen, because you sort of see behind the scenes all the preparations, what people are telling you, and I try and follow valid sources and look at the government guidelines, so to speak, and looking at all that and that sort of stuff. But you've got to keep positive and keep going forward. And yourself, Paul, has it affected you in any way in terms of, you seem really, people are probably thinking this lad seems really upbeat and he's still going, and has it affected you in any way yourself personally, or have you just sort of been so focused on getting things up and running, it hasn't really had much of an impact on you?
No, it's not. I'm absolutely fine. Yeah, so I've basically prepared for it. So I knew what was coming, and even if it didn't happen, then I would have moved in a different direction and continued like normal. But because I'm mentally prepared early for it and accepted the reality, then it's fine. I think the only thing for me is just protecting my family, making sure they're all safe. Really, I think that's the one that comes first. That's my biggest value: health and family. So
absolutely,
as long as the family's all okay, it's all good.
No, that's a great point, and that's really important. I think that's really important that people take precautions, because obviously there's anyone is vulnerable to this conditions. And not that I'm an expert in that field, but from what I can see, that that's really important that we do that, and obviously doing what you've done. But I think on the other side of things too, being in lockdown, just having that outlet to do the social thing as well as keep training, and the buzz that you get after you've trained. And do you sort of see that buzz in the same way after the session on Zoom, Paul, like you would do in the gym? What's the buzz like when people have managed to sort of bank a session, so to speak?
Yeah, it's the same really. It might even be more of an impact, more of a buzz, because people are really getting put through the paces. We're watching them all properly, and because people are actually on the phone, everyone's posting things and sharing, getting loads of banter going. I'm putting the videos on, giving people insight into the sessions. So if anything, there's actually more at the moment, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point, for sure. And that sort of interaction that people need, and especially when there's no sort of definitive sort of time frame at the moment in terms of how long this goes. And in terms of, say, your athletes, sort of focusing on them again, Paul, that sort of training point of view, is it like business as usual for them? Have you had to adapt their training sessions too, or obviously got to improvise, they've got to train from home and any isolation, but have you had much improvising to do for your athletes as well?
Yeah, it's been sending more training plans, sending voice notes, speaking on the phone. And then, like, I've helped someone this morning, and they've been sending me pictures of the technique, doing like the planks and the side planks, because it's really important now for the accountability. So if they're doing workouts in their own time, they need to video it and send it me just to check the form, the technique, because I don't want them getting injured.
That's a great point, Paul. Really good point that you've got to sort of adapt it and that sort of stuff. And sort of for the footballers, that sort of week-to-week game where they sort of look forward to the game. And have you found that some of them have been not necessarily demotivated, but have you had to motivate them a little bit more, keep them motivated to sort of keep training and putting the hard yards in because with it not being a game week to week, have you had a role in trying to motivate them as well, Paul? Or
yeah, there's a motivation role there as well, depending on the person, and then it's giving them little strategies to work on and keeping them positive. So, like I said, giving them mindset and visualization strategies, that type of thing as well. Instead, to keep them on the straight and narrow with it. I think it completely depends how they've accepted it. And they've accepted the reality. Some people cope differently, and really helping them, giving them like coping strategies, really, because everyone needs different coping strategies depending on the map of the world and the background.
No, absolutely. I agree entirely. There's no two people the same, and each one is different. And let's sort of mention nutrition, because this is a big one. Obviously, being at home in isolation, sometimes people might emotionally eat, or they might just sort of out of boredom eat and that sort of stuff. How important is it to sort of keep the nutritional plan going and make sure that they keep that? Because obviously we know training's got many benefits, as well as endorphins for the feeling good, and obviously the many cardiovascular benefits. But in terms of weight reduction and keeping in shape for people, how crucial is the nutrition now, Paul?
Oh, it's absolutely massive. It always is important. So we've got our members tracking themselves on MyFitnessPal, and then they all update it, send it privately or into the group, so they've got that accountability again. We've given them all recipe books, recipe packs. We've got a bit of a master chef going between our members, which is a bit of fun as well. So they're all sharing ideas. On the athlete front, we send them nutrition plans if they want it. Some people are better than others with it. Again, everyone's different. So yeah, it's about these daily habits. Again, it's back to that really. They've got to start now. We're in the first phase of this. We're up to with the lockdown. So they've got to start in good habits now, and then move on to second and third phase in good habits as well.
Yeah, and I mean, with all that, with the experience of working with like world-class athletes, Paul, say for the general person who doesn't play sport at the high level, listening in today, I know no two people are the same and that sort of stuff, and I'm not suggesting to give any advice, but any tips that you can sort of share for people who are struggling for motivation to train at the moment, Paul? What can you say, in terms of, what would you say to your clients if they're struggling with motivation, and perhaps people can sort of take something out of it who are listening in?
Yeah, what I'd say is, if they're struggling with motivation, I'd say try a new hobby if they really want to. So focus on a new hobby when we get out of this lockdown. And then say it's snowboarding, for example. I want to get into snowboarding. So then I'd focus on my techniques and exercises, getting me ready for my beginner snowboarding program. So just, if you feel a little bit fed up with what you're doing at the moment, say you're playing tennis or football or whatever, and you're thinking, right, it's potentially that you need something new. Yeah,
great point.
So, and then all your training's going to just go to that new thing. So new exercises. So you might be doing instead of doing box jumps, you're jumping onto your chair, getting your landing mechanics right, do some plyometrics if you've never done it before. Just, if not, go on YouTube and try and do some new exercises, because you need to keep your brain stimulated, and it's good to learn something new. So that's what I say. I say, right, get a new hobby and then do all your training based on that. Set a time frame. Hopefully we're out of this within the next 6 weeks anyway, and then go from there.
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, that's we all are optimistic about that, and we've got to keep optimistic, but equally in saying that, it's one of them really. All we can do is sort of carry on and seeing what the guidelines are, and they seem to be updated regularly anyway. But like he says, I think it's really important that we do focus that there'll be a point there where things do, go back to maybe not like they were before, but certainly a lot more normality, in the sense that the freedom, and that sometimes you mentioned the gratitude list, Paul. That's a big one. Do you find sometimes that in these situations that the things that we may have taken easy for granted, or is that sort of a sentiment that you share, how these situations sort of make us realise how important certain things are?
Oh, 100%, yeah. It shows what's making the world go round at the moment, like NHS and things like that, public services, policemen, all that stuff, like firemen. It shows, it brings it to light. Also, it makes you appreciate the small things.
Yeah.
Football, going to the pub, all little basic things like that, being there, your friends, shaking your friend's hand, giving them a hug, seeing your family close up all together. It really makes you appreciate these little small things. So I think it's actually good for people to do some self-reflection and then come out of this stronger and a lot more positive. If you can start a gratitude list now, that would be ideal. I use something called a 5-minute journal, which you can get, which I'd recommend to everyone. So yeah, it really does bring home the importance of the small things in life as well.
No, absolutely. And in terms of training, I know it's a difficult one. We mentioned that before. It's hard to sort of give any tips or advice over there in terms of training, but just an idea for our listeners too. Obviously, we're not recommending that they do. If they've got any injuries or any health issues, just make sure they check first before they do any sort of training. But in terms of sort of training, what are some of the things that you can do, Paul, like a daily routine, things being well, for people at home? What are things that you would do for your members, for example?
Yeah, little workouts we've been doing. So we've been choosing, say, 5 exercises, doing 30 seconds of work intensity. So have a stopwatch or a timer on your phone. 30 seconds work with 10 seconds rest. So, for example, you'll do 30 seconds of burpees, 10 seconds rest, 30 seconds into a normal plank, 10 seconds rest, 30 seconds of squat jumps, 30 seconds star jumps, and then 30 seconds sprinting on the spot. Give yourself a 1-minute rest and then do that 5 times. Obviously, you can adapt that depending on your fitness levels. So yeah, we try and keep it simple really and do a lot of body weight stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. And the response to that sort of work has been good, Paul. It's sort of, because the response to doing the body weight stuff, what's sort of your feedback from that?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I think a lot of the members haven't realised how tough it is just doing body weight.
Yeah.
I mean, with our lot, we do body weight anywhere, but sometimes use TRX cables, dumbbells and things like that. So yeah, they've actually realising how challenging it is just using your body weight.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's the atmosphere been like in the gym itself, Paul? I know you get in the gym to do your videos and that sort of stuff. What's it like when you go in the gym and that sort of the realisation that obviously people are working from home, and what's the feeling like for you? I mean, in terms of your own, I don't know if for me sometimes I bounce off the energy of the people around me, but like yourself, I do stuff online too as well. But what's it like for you in terms of doing the exercises in the gym itself? I mean, how do you feel doing that?
I've actually stopped doing it now, but so what we've done, we've pre-recorded everything.
Oh, right, okay.
So I've been doing it in my garden and my front room and things like that. So I just put music on like normal. I'm speaking to a lot of my coaching staff as well, so we're sharing ideas. And I'm asking the members what they want, so that keeps me stimulated and keeps my brain ticking and going, you see.
Of course,
so I've been using the members and coaching staff. Yeah,
no, of course. So you've shut the gym down, my apologies, and you're doing it from home. And so in terms of getting that sort of that vibe, it's a bit like football, I suppose. When you sort of play football, you get the buzz of the crowd type thing, and so to speak, But like you said, so you get the same sort of, you get the vibe sort of online now when they're putting like messages out there, and that does that help, Paul, when people are like responding and giving you feedback and sort of, you can thrive off the energy for yourself, or?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, because like you said, if we didn't get any feedback or no one appreciated anything, it'd be a lot harder to get yourself going, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So it does. We always ask for feedback. We say, do you want us to improve it? How do you want us to improve it? Is there anything you want to add in? What bits did you like about it? Because at the moment, our new products is on Zoom, so we're coaching the coaching staff just like normal. I'm giving James technique tips, people helping me and things like that. So we're all evolving every single day, even with this new products online.
Yeah, no.
So the members help massively, bouncing off each other.
It is, yeah, and that's the thing too. I mean, I lecture too, as you know, and some of the lectures we've had to sort of transferring on Zoom too. And at first it was a bit of a novelty, but I just said to the guys this week when I was lecturing that it's just pretty much like a classroom, and it felt that way with them all in there and that sort of stuff. And it was a buzz for them and for me too, getting the interaction on Zoom. In some respects it was more engaging in some levels because they were all there and you could see them all too, but obviously we want to get back to doing face-to-face stuff, and like anyone in any profession, and football loves to play in front of crowds, and obviously it's a big thing to have that interaction, but we do the best we can with what we have. And in terms of the resilience levels, Paul, we know that certainly in this country, in the UK, people are very resilient, and we see the best of people in times like these. And this country is well known for being resilient in tough times. And we also see unfortunately the worst of people too, and that, I would say, is the minority. People, obviously, we sort of not obeying the lockdowns and that sort of stuff. That's really important. But have you found that in your sort of environment, you've sort of seen the best of people, that sort of that great British spirit that bounces off adversity?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Even in where I'm living now, neighbourhood, everyone's pulling together. I know a lot of people, like last week, was doing like food swapping and things like that, which we've encouraged with the Body Influence members. So yeah, I'm massively, like I said, 90% of people will be supporting. Just unfortunate for a few people, but overall it's been good. It's good to see, to be honest with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes you've got to take positives out of negatives in situations like them, and certainly I think that sort of everyone coming together is a big thing, and that sort of stuff. But that's sort of not undermining the challenge ahead, and obviously, I feel and my condolences for people who are suffering, and that can happen to any of us at any time. And I think it's really important that we do keep pulling together, and I think institutions and establishments like yours, Paul, go a long way to doing that in communal areas. But I want to thank you for coming on board the show, Paul. It's been fantastic, and I'm looking forward to catching up at some point again, and sort of speaking in person again at some point.
Yeah.
But it's been great having you on the show, Paul, and we wish you all the best with your new venture and obviously with what you're doing at the moment.
Thank you very much, Jimmy. Cheers for having me, mate. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul.